shuffled strat, and then let's go to number jump. Right, number jump was something that people were having issues with because the thing is about number jump, right, is it feels like you have to mash the A button in order to get from 1 to 10 or 11 as soon as possible, and for the most part that actually does work. But really, there's a little bit of more nuance to it, though unfortunately, because the game isn't that well designed, the nuance is not always applicable. So like 80% of the time, you truly can just mash and then win no problem. It really does boil down to who the fastest masher is. But there are some situations where mindlessly mashing will end up causing you to lose, either through a timeout or someone getting the jump on you. So let's go ahead and talk about number jump. Number jump is pretty easy, especially if you played Sonic Adventure 1 on at least gone through Emerald Coast and had to deal with the jump panels in that game, right? So, number jump. You have to jump from each number in order, right? You can't jump from 1 to 3 and 3 to 7 and then 7 to 10. You have to go up the ladder incrementally one by one. So, here is the first tip for playing shuffle straps, right? Or for playing number jump. At this point in the game, you should already be trying to read and analyze the order of the number because of how long it takes to actually get the game started. So right here, right, you can already see everything that you need to know. So for me personally, I'm scanning to see if everything is in order, and usually it is. So I can see the 0, the 1, the 2. Let me use my mouse. I can see the 0, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So once you confirm, because it's not always like this, once you confirm that there's a clear path from 0 to 10 or 0 to 11, then you can start mashing, right? But what you need to be weary about is, as you can see, there's only 3 1s, right? And then there's only, let's see, 2 2s, and there's only 1 3 actually. And let's see, 1 2 4s, 2 5s, 2 6s, a 7, 1 8, 1 9, and 2 10s, right? But here's the thing, something that a lot of people don't realize for fair reason, is with this 10, if you land on this 10, you cannot jump to this 10, okay? If you try to go from, if for some reason you find yourself on a 10 and there's a 10 here, if you try to jump, you'll miss because you need to go up in value by 1 every single time you jump. So what this also tells me is that this 10 will actually alternate between 10 and 11 in the middle of the game. And then also, while the game is going, right, these platforms will rotate inward. So if I'm on this 8, yes, in number order. If I'm on this 8, right, and I wait too long, it's going to rotate inwards and I'll fall off because you can't be on the panel when the number is no longer visible. So there's like I said, there's like a bit of nuance to this game, but 80% of the time you don't have to pay attention to it. But as a result of this nuance being important rarely, there are times where you will lose the game simply because you're not paying attention to this nuance. So from 0, I jump from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you see how now you can see now how the 8 that I was gonna jump to rotated inward. If I jumped to that 8, I would have fallen off. Now there is a new 8, so I can jump to that 8, and then also the platform at the top for winning is now at an 11. So I'd have to jump from 10 to 11. If I was on a 9 and tried jumping to the 10, and before I jumped it alternated to 11, I'd fall off. And as you can see, I think, okay, yeah, Amy fell off at some point. So another thing about number jump is because there's a limited amount of space, right? If, for example, you see how Knuckles is on 4, if all the 5s were occupied, because there are 3 5s right now, so if me, Sonic, and Amy were on all 3 5s, Knuckles can't actually jump from anything. The game won't let him jump. And if he tries to jump at that point, he'll fall off and have to start over from the bottom. So while you are jumping, what you're supposed to do, what they intended you for to do, is to keep an eye on what number you have to jump to next, and if it is available to jump to. If it is not available, if the next number you're supposed to jump to is not available, you'll fall right off. So that's why they kind of try to cause some chaos by having different or varying amounts of availability for each number in the chain. So I'm at a 7, I'm going to jump to an 8, jump to a 9, and then I can jump to a 10. So also, if you're being smart about it, right? If you are not at a 10 yet, and like you're at an 8, and it's alternating between 10 and 11 or 9 and 10, right? Waiting for the center number to increment to the number that you need to so that you can jump is also a very good strategy. Because while it was an 11, I could have just jumped from 9 to 10 and then from 10 to 11. But by waiting on 9, I do two things. I block 1 9, and I also make it so that I don't accidentally jump to a number that I'm not supposed to or I don't want to because the center number alternated to a different number while right before I jumped. So by occupying the 9 space, because at this point in the game, right, if you can look at the current tower, there's no 9s. So had I stayed in that 9, no one else would be able to get to a 9. And then I can freely just wait for the center number to go back to a 10, and then I can finish the game for the easy win. So this game had an idea, right? They were trying to cook with this, but they didn't actually get to the execution down properly. And I think that's probably the biggest issue with number jump, because again, you can just mindlessly mash most of the time, and it'll be not that big of an issue. So that's number jump. I ultimately think it's pretty simple, but just understanding the nuances of how the game works makes it so that you can win 100% of the time as long as you can mash faster than the other people. Because while you're jumping, because especially since the numbers can be very far apart, during that jump, you can't really do anything. So you're supposed to take the time during each jump to look to see where the next spot you're supposed to go is, and if it's available, so that you don't end up jumping off and missing and then having to start over. So that's how number jump works, and I think that about does it for that one without much issues.